Okay, so for the next step, I actually want to do a basic technical drawing. And for the sake of organization, I'm actually going to set up 2 new layers. So I have 4 layers in total. And I am going to be placing in a croquis. I'm going to be drawing a really basic little tank top. And then I'm going to do some top stitching on it. And then finally, I'm going to name it. So step 1, first of all, I'm going to get rid of my previous artworks. Now, again, you can click on something to see where it is in the document this way and by the color of the guidelines. You can also head over to that little eyeball, and that will show you, if I turn eyeball off, it makes whatever's on layer 1 invisible, right? Layer 2. So my drawings at this point are still there, but I've made them invisible. So if you're not sure where something is on your drawing, you can always turn off the eyeball and it will show you what layer it is, because it'll disappear all of a sudden. But I actually want to get rid of both of these. Goodbye, goodbye. And layer 1, I'm going to place my croquis file, which you have in the session 1 folder. So you do that, you go File is the pull down menu on the top, and you want to do File Place. And you can also click and drag quite easily right into Illustrator, but I like to do File Place. And then I know where it is. It's in my folder. Now, there's 2 ways to place your image, right? Because this is a scan of the croquis we're going to be using. One is you just click, and that is the actual size of the object, which works fine for what we're doing. But if you're making something like a mood board and you're using a bunch of different photographs, there's another way to place a photo image. You go File Place. You've got the loaded cursor, but if you click and hold, see, I've got that little box. That little box will be whatever the size I leave it. That will be the size of my photo. So if I did it really huge, it'd be like that. If I did it like that, it's that size, right? So that's pretty handy if you're placing a whole lot of images. You can kind of size them by eye right from the get-go by doing the File Place, load the cursor, and then click and hold, right? Very handy. Now for us, now when you are resizing, and this is different than Photoshop. See, I got this squeezy drawing. I don't want that. You need to always hold Shift when you are resizing. And I'm pretty sure they changed that in Photoshop, and it's the reverse because they're always doing that. But in Illustrator at this point, make sure you hold the Shift key when you are making things larger or smaller. And to make them larger and smaller, you hold the corner and pull. It's very handy. But again, without holding that, it becomes that, and you don't want that. So hold Shift, grab corner, pull, and it makes your image larger. Then I'm going to use my arrow keys on the keypad to line up center front with my center front guideline. See, there's like a center front on the drawing, that red line down the middle. I'm going to just move that into place in the center front of my guideline. So they line up. Then I'm going to lock layer 1. Now this is real handy because we can no longer, the guide is locked. We can't move it now. And layer 1 is locked. So I can't accidentally pick up that croquis, which is very frustrating. You're working on a drawing and then you accidentally grab the croquis and it goes out of place. Okay, so basic tank top. I am going to grab my pen tool, and see how it's telling me I can't draw here because I've got that little do not enter sign by the pencil? That is because I'm trying to draw on a locked layer. Okay, so if you're trying to draw and nothing's happening, make sure you have, I'm going to hop up to the next layer. See how I have that little star now beside the pen tool? That says I am ready to draw. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay. Control Z, Command Z allows you to step backwards. So I'm on layer 2. And once you are confident with your drafting, you may want to draw and curve at the same time. I'm actually not going to do that. I'm going to do the click, click, make it very angular, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to reshape those points where I need curves. Now, Illustrator likes to lock into 45s and 90s. Okay, so you see I hit a point and I get that little pink line that shows up. That means I'm at parallel, like I'm on the horizon there, right? And I want to take that point right beneath the top one, but I do not want to close it. So I can hit escape. So what I have now is 1/2 of my very angular bodice, which we are going to now do the drawings of. If you have a perfectly symmetrical garment, and a lot of our garments are, you're going to want to draw all the left-hand side and then flip it and join it. It's just quicker and easier. So I'm going to black arrow. I'm going to now, I'll deselect and just use this convert tool. And then I'm going to click and hold on that anchor there. And I'm going to click and pull on that anchor there. And you can see that I'm a little sharp in there. So I can go back and play with that one a little bit. I can also click on that point, whoops, with my white arrow and move it out a little bit away from the body. Okay. I also want to white arrow, click on those points at the shoulder and take it closer to the body. We're going to do this like a lingerie draft, very close to the body. If it was a shirt or a jacket, it would be farther away. You don't, if something's meant to go over something else, you give it a little bit of space away from the body. But if we're doing something sheer and tight, it's going to be right to the body. Last thing I'm going to work on is this point here. I want to grab my convert tool, click on that anchor point, and I want to make that a lovely curve because it's going to want to flip into the other side. Be careful not to curve it so it looks like that, or you will get this really bumpy neckline. You want to get that nice parallel. And this actually could be a time we could use a ruler guide, because I could pull a ruler guide down and I would want to make sure that point, there we go, that anchor is, my little handlebars are sticking to that guide. So it's going to give me a perfect horizontal. So when I flip it and join it, it'll be nice and smooth as a curve. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I could fill it and I could see what that looks like. Very nice. Now I want to flip it. Now we're going to use a second tool that's also hidden. It's underneath rotate and it's called reflect. Reflect is a very handy tool for doing symmetrical drafts, which I'm doing. So I'm going to do, again, the pull out, and I'm going to keep my reflect tool. Usually I keep my reflect right with my pen tools because it's super handy to, I use it a lot. Now, the way it works is I select my shape, double click on the reflect tool, and it gives me my options. And I do not want to hit OK because it will just reflect my original shape. I want to hit copy because then I will have two. Ta-da! And I want to select the new one, use my arrow keys, and move it over. Now, at this point, it looks nice, but I still have to join those points. And I'm going to white arrow, I'm going to marquee. Now, a marquee is when you select all the points below, because I'm actually selecting 2 points. And I'm going to get rid of that ruler guide. Goodbye. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to marquee with my white arrow over those 2 points. And then you can do a right click and join those points. Okay. You can also do a pull down from the menu, the object menu on top, and that is another way to join it. So I'm going to join the bottom 2 points because right now only the top 2 are joined. There's still 2 points down here in the bottom. And I'm going to do object join. Where did you go? There it is. Object join. There we go. Come back here. Bum, bum, bum. Let's try that again. Right click, join. There we go. Maybe they moved it from the pull down menu. Sometimes Illustrator will change things around on me. So for the moment, we're going to do right click, join for those points. So what we now have, if we go really up close, I will. Because Illustrator, you can get very, very, very up close, is I have 2 points and then Illustrator drew a little line in between, which we're fine with. If we wanted to, we could always go back in and get rid of one of them. So there's only 1 point at center front. Sometimes that helps us with the neckline where we have 2 points again. You may want to get rid of one of the points. Oops, want to do that. Let's curve that back out again. Da-da-da. Oh. Did not like that. All right, let's keep our 2 points for the moment. Okay, if you go in super close and you want to go back out to the full size of the page, you can always hit Command 0. And that gives, it fits your full croquis and your full drawing page in the window. So again, if you are super up close, you can always go Command 0, and that'll take us out. All right. So my tank top's looking nice. I am going to add on a pair of sleeves. Now, this is when we get into a hotkey that I quite like called Control F. Now, Control C is copy, Control V is paste, right? Like if I black arrow selected my whole tank top, Control C, Control V, bam. Now, what Control F does is it copies it in front of it. So it takes it and puts it exactly in front of where the original shape was. So I have 2, but it doesn't offset it. Now, the way I use this when I'm doing drafting is I like to white arrow, select with a marquee that point in the armpit there, okay? Now, to show you what I'm doing, I'm going to do Control C, Control V. And what that has done is it has given me the perfect copy of that armhole, because then I can build my sleeve from there, and I know it's going to fit perfectly to the body, right? The armhole goes straight into the sleeve. Okay, so what that looks like is, I'm going to get rid of you. Again, black arrow selects the whole thing, delete. I'm going to white arrow, select the armpit, point with a marquee. There we go. Can marquee up or marquee down. And then Control C. This time, I'm going to do Control F. And what that has done is it has given me a new shape, a new line, basically. So it's drawn that line there, and it's put it in directly on top of my previous line, which is great. Now I'm going to do a right click, and I'm going to do a join. And what that's going to do is it's going to draw a line between those 2 points. So what I now have is a shape that looks like this. All right. And I know you're saying it doesn't really look like a sleeve yet, but it will. I'm going to add 2 points, 1 and 2 on that line. And then I'm going to white arrow, and then I'm going to pull. Oh, look at that. And then I'm going to pull 1 point down. I'm going to pull the other point down. I've got a slope on my shoulder. I could do one of 2 things. I could move the original point out, or I could add a new point onto here. White arrow that up. Get a little closer so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. White arrow it up. And then use our favorite curve tool and curve that out slightly. Maybe having a bit more of a curve on this side and taking it down. Oops, a bit more curve over here. And then white arrow. I'm going to click on that one and play with my handlebar up here to get that one nice and smooth and flat. Okay. Again, Command 0 gets me back out. My sleeve's looking pretty good. Once I have something I like, I black arrow. So what we've done is just created a closed shape of a sleeve. There we go. Once I have what I like, it's symmetrical, and I can do my copy. Pull the other one into place on this side. So that is basic bodice and sleeve. Now I'm going to lock up that layer, and I'm going to put in a quick top stitch, because we like to finish our garments with a top stitch. And to do that, we head over to our stroke tool, which is on the top here. And if I click on that, it's going to give me options on what I can do to adjust. If you have really sharp points on the edges of your line, you can change your corners to round joins, because sometimes, like this one had a very sharp point on it until I moved it out. That will get rid of those pointy edges. I want to put in a dashed line. A 12 point is way too big. I'm going to take that down to a 1 point for my dashed line. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw. Oh, I'm on a locked layer. See, it's saying, Mark, you can't draw. You're on a locked layer. So I'm going to head up to layer 3. I'm going to turn off my fill, because top stitching should always be just stroke, no fill. And then I'm going to literally just click, click, and There we go. I have my little top stitch. I'll make my gap a little larger. Try that. Didn't work. Let's try it a bit larger. Dash. That's better. Okay. So then I'm going to delete number 1. I'm going to black arrow, Control C, Control F, and then I'm just going to move it down a tiny little bit. If I know it worked really well on this side, I may actually move that edge in just a tiny bit. And again, you can white arrow and keypad to move single points around without affecting the rest of it. That looks pretty good. And 0, yeah. And I'm going to black arrow. And because I have everything else locked, I can do all kinds of great marquee selections without selecting all the stuff underneath. So that is why I am on layer 3. If you want to be super organized, you can actually name your layers. You could call that one bodice or shirt. You could name this one top stitch. You could name that one croquis. I mean, you certainly don't have to, but it could help. And this one we're going to call text because this is what you are going to, where you're going to put the text of the draft that's on here. All right. So I'm back to my top stitch. I like how that looks. Now, cool Illustrator function is the eyedropper, which is over here. I don't usually pull it out, but I'll have it out just for this demo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like if I was drawing and it had defaulted back to, again, escape allows me to deselect. If I wanted to pick up that top stitch for this line, like say this had become a straight line, I would just eyedropper that and it would pick it up. And I'm going to fix up my edges on this. And I think I can just do that one with a keypad, take that a little bit over. I'm going to move the top one down a tiny bit using my keypad. And that will give me my hem there. If I know that my left-hand side looks good, I can use my copy and then just swing that one over to the other side using black arrow. Oops, here we go. Pull that into place.